Hey guys, it's Captain Forest here, and in today's video I'm going to be doing a power scaling video on Storm to see how powerful she is from the Marvel 616 universe. Now if you guys enjoy power scaling videos, please leave a like, comment down below, give me your feedback, and of course subscribe for further content. Also shoutouts to the Coffee Shop Gang that make awesome content. Their links will be in the description. Also shoutouts to the HQ squad, they also help me in my videos too. Massive shouts to them, and of course if you guys are interested in supporting me on a personal level, my links will also be in the description. So yes, let's get right into meat and potatoes of things. We'll talk about Aurora Monroe, of course Lady Storm herself, and I'll start off with attack potency, speed, abilities, resistances, all that good stuff. So yeah, let's get right into meat and potatoes of things. Now before I go over Storm's attack potency and where she would stem from and range from in terms of that department, I have to go over some of her feats and some of the chain scaling, and then I will go over where she would range from. So Storm was able to casually block a full powered optic blast from Cyclops. This very same Cyclops is able to physically burn the Hulk's skin with his optic blast. Cyclops has also demonstrated that his optic blast is powerful enough to hold up against a clone of Thor. This clone was also noted to be equal to the real thing. Cyclops himself has been able to physically hurt Thor with his optic blast on a good few occasions. Storm has also demonstrated to affect and bully Savage Hulk with her powers. There was another occasion with the help of Cable with his telekinetic powers and Storm's lightning. They were both able to affect the Hulk, which is very impressive. Storm has also shown with her lightning that it's strong enough to combat Phoenix Force Emma Frost, which is very impressive. She was able to combat the fire that Phoenix Force Emma Frost was emitting. This is impressive because this very same Emma Frost, who was amped with the Phoenix Force, and Cyclops as well, they both go on to embarrass a non-suppressed Thor, who was unable to do anything to the Phoenix Five, as they all bodied and embarrassed this same Thor. Thor and Hulk have some impressive feats. We see the God of Thunder shiver the 9 realms during his battle with the World Serpent. This is actually way more impressive than it may appear at first glance. Asgard itself was consistently depicted as being beyond space, time, and dimensions. Not even a quantum cosmologist can understand and comprehend the true nature of what Asgard is. There are numbers greater than infinity. Just like in mathematics, the universe is transfinite, existing infinities higher than other infinities. This is to support universes being far more than just 3 or 4th dimensional in their totality. We also see in this fight with Eric Masterson, who was able to clash with another Thor from the future. Once they realized that they could handle each other's strikes, they stopped pulling their punches on each other. What happens next is very impressive because they produce enough energy which was able to simultaneously affect all planes of reality and stretched across the entire cosmos. We've seen Loki and Odin simultaneously clash and affect all conceivable astral and metaphysical planes. Even Doctor Strange confirms that it is metaphysical, and the narration states it's far beyond the physical. Now as for Hulk himself, he's powerful enough to render Nightmare's realm asunder. Nightmare's world exists beyond the mortal plane, a reality which exists beyond the meager perceptions of time and space of Doctor Strange. His realm is timeless. Everything in his realm is metaphor. Nightmare rules the borderlands between madness and myth. In the crossroads, the shockwave produced when Hulk clashed with Ironclad was so devastating it reverberates along the pathways leading from the crossroads to an infinite number of dimensions, causing cataclysmic unhevels and unimaginable destruction. This feat is easily altiversal. Now in terms of physical attack potency for Storm, she should easily be around multi-city block plus to town level. We've seen her being able to physically take an attack from Spider-Man, who was suppressed, and this same Spider-Man was able to tank a town level explosion. This is pretty much a low end for him, a suppressed Spider-Man. We've also seen a suppressed Spider-Man easily just beat the absolute brakes out of Deadpool Deadpool himself has demonstrated multi-city block feats, so right there and there, she should easily physically be multi-city block to town level. Okay, so that's going to round up the AP for Storm. I'm going to go ahead and talk about speed. So in terms of speed, she has different ranges. So there's some finite speed scaling of MFTL plus. She also has infinite speed arguments and immeasurable speed scaling as well as a high end. So Storm has been able to react and dodge Mjolnir from Thor. Storm has been able, the infinite speed feat comes from when Thor hears a prayer from a universe away. After hearing the prayer, Thor showcases that he's fast enough to cross this infinite universe within a couple minutes. Now the universes in Marvel Comics are infinitely large, which would mean Thor traveled an infinite distance in a finite amount of time. Now as for the high end stuff, so in terms of like immeasurable speed, so like Thor himself has been able to blitz Silver Surfer. Silver Surfer himself can literally time travel with his raw speed alone, which is very impressive. So that's going to round up speed. I'm going to go ahead and talk about her mutant powers and her gifts. So Storm has weather manipulation. In fact, she has complete mastery over the weather, and she's also shares a nice little connection to the earth, which is just pretty impressive. So the earth itself pretty much communicates with Storm. Her other weather manipulation powers entails an assortment of other abilities, such as being able to create a thunderstorm or bolt of lightning from the sky, or firing lightning bolts from her hands. She can also create fog and icy blizzards and blast it at her opponents. She can create huge tornadoes and hurricanes. She can also change the weather to cause it to rain with torrential downpour, snow, or clear skies. Storm can also use the wind to fly, and also use the wind as a form of telekinesis to grab objects and throw them. Storm can also control the weather with just a thought, and she can also use clairvoyance by expanding her perception and using the energy in the atmosphere to probe and look around places. She can also detect and predict the weather patterns, and she can also like predict people's actions too by seeing the activity in their brains, which gives her an edge in combat. Storm, more or less, is able to discern the weather and the world through energy patterns, and also sees the nervous system inside of a human body via energy pattern. Storm also is able to use the elemental forces to seal up a hole in time and space. Storm can also dispel weather, paranoid people from trying to manipulate the elements and the weather. She can also control the weather on a molecular level, causing the atmosphere to heat up, and can also restrict the air. She can also control the magnetic forces of the earth and also use it as an EMP to short circuit things. And Storm can also use her environment to her advantage. She's demonstrated that she can use the wind to blast debris and straws from a haystack at great speed, turning small, minuscule objects into sharp, lethal projectiles. Storm also has magnetic manipulation. As we all know, Storm's emotions affect the weather. She's also demonstrated this when she performs a worldwide aurora, which lasted for 4 hours. Storm is able to tap into the Earth's magnetic field and BFR a bunch of zombies off the planet. Storm is able to part the ozone layer and magnetic field to evaporate a huge wave. Storm can also generate a electro field around her and her allies to breathe underwater. Storm also controls all the elements of the storm, as she can also detect if the weather is moving abnormally. Storm can suck the air out of her foes' lungs, which is pretty impressive, so like a vacuum, suffocate them. Storm also states she doesn't need to use her hands to use her powers. She can use her powers in nasty ways. She can turn up the air pressure, pop her opponent's eardrums, or generate nasty winds. With her weather manipulation, Storm was able to affect the core of an entire galaxy. A Storm can also freeze your heart and shatter your veins with her powers. It's also been noted that Storm is an Omega level mutant, and for those who are unaware of like the rankings in like XMen, in like Marvel, when you are an Omega level mutant, that means you're like top tier. That means you're like a very powerful character. So that's like A tier, maybe even S tier. Storm can like summon a lightning ball that acts like a magnet to draw in multiple knives that were thrown at her. If you try to flee, Storm can use the wind around you to suck you up inside a tornado. Storm can also instinctively activate her mutant powers, such as summoning a wind to protect her from falling. Storm can conjure fog. Storm's fog doesn't just blind the opponent, it also messes up and disrupts the radio frequencies by ionizing the fog, which completely negs sensory. And as mentioned before, Storm can use the surroundings to advantage, so she's been able to literally use like lightning against opponents who are pretty much drenched and wet, so using water as a conduct for her lightning, which is pretty impressive. So that's going to round up Storm. I'm going to go ahead and talk about her resistances. So Jean cannot fully enter or pick up pleasure centers while telepathically communicating with Storm thanks to the static in Storm's brain. Charles states it's hard to keep telepathic contact with Storm, and her lightning was also giving Charles Xavier a nasty feedback and causing him pain. Storm was able to resist Emma Frost's empathy manipulation and smites her with lightning. This is all very impressive because this very same Charles is able to put the Phoenix Five, including the Avengers, to sleep. Emma Frost has shown on more than one occasion to fight off Phoenix Force amped Cuckoos. This is also impressive since Celeste, a member of the Cuckoos, on her own was able to resist and block out the Phoenix Force's influence, save her sisters. And we've also seen Emma Frost being able to block out Charles Xavier too, which is very impressive. Like the telepaths like Jean, Emma Frost and Charles Xavier, they're all like Omega level mutants, which just goes to show how powerful they are in the telepathic department. At her absolute best with her spiritual strength, Strange himself states that only he and Aurora had the strength of spirit to hold the essence of eternity, displaying that she has some sort of soul resistance and soul manipulation. She's able to channel and use her own spiritual strength and power. Storm has incredible willpower and pain tolerance. After she was stabbed, she was able to still fight with this injury and fight off and beat the living breaks out of a group of women while she was injured and bleeding out, which just goes to show that Aurora has really impressive willpower and grit in combat. Now I'm going to go ahead, move on, talk about Storm's skill. So Storm has demonstrated great tactics and the use of her surroundings. A powerless Storm was skilled enough to avoid and get past and defeat Cyclops in battle for leadership. This is impressive since Cyclops is a master of the optic arts, and Jean herself notes that the X-Men have perfected their mutant powers. Storm has scrapped with Shuri in hand-to-hand combat. Storm has embarrassed 2 Dora Milaje in skill. These very same Dora Milaje can press the Black Widow, which is very impressive because Black Widow herself noted in a guidebook that she's the master at several martial arts such as karate, judo, aikido, savate, various styles of kung fu, boxing and combat gymnastics. Black Widow has swapped hands with Taskmaster, who's pretty much mastered every fighting style in the world. Storm has sparred with Wolverine and was able to outskill him in combat. Wolverine himself is a master of all forms of martial arts. Storm even mentions her victory over another mutant called Callisto, who is a master at all forms of martial arts and is a gifted tactician and leader. Storm was able to fight decently well against Callisto, who can instinctively analyze the structure of a fight and understand and break down different ways to take victory. So overall, Storm should scale in terms of attack potency. She should be around the low ends of Universal Plus, Low Multiversal, to the mid ends of Multiversal Plus, to High Hyperversal Plus, to the high ends of Outerversal. Physically, she should be multi-city block to town level, and her speed would range from MFTL Plus to Infinite Speed to Immeasurable Speed. So overall, Storm is a very powerful Omega level mutant in her own right. And yes, that's going to round up Storm and this power scaling video. So thank you guys for watching. If you guys enjoyed this video, please remember to leave a like, comment down below, and of course give your feedback. But yeah, it's been real. I'll see you guys in the next one.